Hey everybody, Mike Guglielmi, Sons of a Pitch Soccer Podcast, episode 172. We talk CCL draw, we talk news, signings, rumors, and some other news later on at the end of the show. Thanks for joining us here, your soccer headquarters, Sons of a Pitch.
Well, hey, soccer fans, welcome back to the Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nick Pateris, joined by my good friend and fellow host, Mike Guglielmi. Mike, did you enjoy your President's Day? How was the long weekend?
Wasn't long for me. I had to work today. But it was nice to have the weekend off. Got some rest and relaxation. And how about you?
Excellent. Yeah, I actually started a new job tomorrow, so I had the long weekend anyway, and got to spend some time with the kiddos here and just, them cooped up in the house makes everything crazy, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
But now for our escape, our break from reality into the Sons of a Pitch, into our soccer talk. As you teased earlier, Mike, we are talking CONCACAF Champions League draw. We are talking news and signings, and we have a major show update to announce at the end of the episode, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Now, right into it here. CONCACAF Champions League is back. The 2021 edition is like 99% of the way there. There is only one team who we don't know if they have qualified yet, and that is the Canadian delegation. Right now, it's coming down to Toronto FC, the heavy favorite here, and I think it's Forge FC, Mike, of the Canadian Premier League. So you're all things Canada, Mr. Toronto Sports Insider. What's going on with TFC and Forge? Why doesn't Canada have their team selected for CONCACAF yet?
Well, that's because of the way that they made the new format last season. So they changed the format up right before COVID to have because of COVID, to have the MLS teams play and in their little round robin sort of scenario in the regular season of MLS, and whoever came out on top of that was going to meet the Canadian Premier League champion, which happened to be Forge, again for the second year in a row, both years of their existence. So they were going to meet, and then they were going to do it at some point in November or December, and then they decided, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to do it in the first quarter of 2021. So, honestly, it's been a huge cluster. They should have never done it. I mean, they should have figured out a better way of doing it, either doing it right at the end of the season there, or they should have figured something out. This has been a joke. I mean, now you have Toronto FC actually starting their training camp earlier than all the rest of the other MLS teams to be able to start practicing for a potential matchup with Forge, which we don't even know when that day is yet. So Canadian soccer hasn't even announced it. All we know is that it has to happen before the first few games of the CONCACAF Champions League the first week of April. So it honestly is a complete screw up by the league, by the Canadian Soccer Association, by all forces together. But regardless, it's either Toronto FC or Forge playing Lyon. They got the rough draw in the CONCACAF Champions League draw. So we'll see. I mean, I guess you just kind of prepare like, well, we're going to be in CCL, so let's prepare for Lyon. And then we just have to get through that first game first. So,
right. And it's too bad they couldn't come to some sort of agreement or figure it out, because at least from where I sit, this is kind of a formality, right? Just get the game played. Odds are that TFC is going to beat Forge and move on. This isn't like they're playing a Montreal who can surprise them, who's an MLS level club. They're not playing like a Calgary FC who has been in the USL for a while and has had matchups against TFC. They're playing Forge. They're playing a Canadian Premier League team. No disrespect to the CPL, but they're not at the level of TFC yet. So to me, I think it's just kind of a formality. Get it done, and let's get TFC in. Now, do you agree it's that easy, Mike, or is this going to be a good game?
I don't expect it to be that easy, because Forge is a really good team. They've dominated the Canadian Premier League both seasons, so they're not as bad as a normal Canadian Premier League team would be. First of all, second of all, TFC they haven't done anything this offseason. So, I mean, what team are you getting in the beginning? It's a 90-minute game. So I can see anything happen in this game. It's not just a formality. If this game was being played in line with the season last season, like around playoff time of the MLS playoffs, absolutely. Toronto would have walked in, taken care of business against Forge 99 times out of 100. Now, being the fact that it's the beginning of the season like this, I don't know. It's not that easy. But a couple comments here. T-Mac says, how that TFC Forge game hasn't been played is insane. Figure it the hell out, Canada Soccer. Yes, 100%. I completely agree with you there. Brother BKL, well, true. I mean, Canadian Cup is coming out next month. Plus, I don't know if TFC will got to play it. Yeah, we don't even know. They might not even play the game because there has been some talk that Forge had like 3 chances to get in, so they might just give the spot to TFC, depending on where they have to go, if they're going to be starting their season in the United States, to get, they might have to get acclimated to a certain place in wherever they're going to play in the U.S. Before the Champions League starts up. So who knows? It's such a cluster, man. But it is what it is. And then we've got Jan Stepp on as well. Is Force, I'm guessing, Forge a champion in CPL? CPL they are twice, both seasons. So overall, it's going to be a good game just based off the timing of the game. If it is per se the end of March, which is probably my guess, mid to end of March, it'll be a good game. I'll be excited for it, but it honestly was a screw up all the way.
There you go. And that actually might be the longest we've ever talked Canadian club soccer here on the show. So new record set at 7.5-minute mark, right? But to kind of take a bigger look at the CCL, at the CONCACAF Champions League, that would be the one bid that Canada automatically gets. There's 4 automatic qualifiers from the United States and 4 automatic qualifiers from Liga MX in Mexico, and then 1 automatic qualifier from the Caribbean. This year, the Dominican Republic had the highest ranked Caribbean team, and that is Atletico Pandoja. So they get the auto bid of the Caribbean. There are 6 other teams in this newly expanded format that qualify through the CONCACAF League, coming from the Caribbean, Central America, and I think the Canadian Premier League is part of that whole qualifying cycle as well, right?
Correct. They get into the CONCACAF League.
Right. So that makes up your 16-team, beautiful, nice even number here, no buys or anything like that, in CONCACAF. Now let's talk about the 4 MLS teams, or I should say the 4 American teams that make it in. Obviously coming from the MLS, no upsets in the US Open Cup. Oh, wait, we didn't play that this year. So instead they did the MLS is Back tournament. So that is how that is how they decided one of the spots. And then they held over the 2019 US Open Cup champion as well. So, Mike, I've probably stumbled over a few little things here, but we have Columbus Crew as the 2020 MLS Cup champion, the Philadelphia Union as the 2020 MLS Supporters Shield champion, the Timbers winning the MLS is Back tournament, and Atlanta United, the holdover from 2019 US Open Cup. So I think the difference here is Portland gets in instead of, the other conferences champion or highest point total in normal seasons, right?
Right. Yep.
So those are our 4 MLS clubs. How do you feel, Mike, about our representation, our league's representation in CONCACAF Champions League? For me, it's hard to argue against the Crew and the Union. Like, those are the top 2 teams the entire season just about, and the Crew obviously winning the Cup. Portland coming out of the West, they won the MLS is Back tournament. Hopefully they're healthy. Hopefully they got a strong roster. I've kind of been a bit of a Portland supporter a little over the last couple seasons. So I don't know if I could argue against them over other Western Conference teams at this point. But I got to feel like Atlanta kind of got backdoored in here. Like they're just lucky to be here right now, right?
Atlanta doesn't deserve to be in this group, period. I mean, you look at the season that they had last year. It was complete and utter garbage. Yeah, I know the injury to Joseph Martinez, the coaching carousel that they had with Frank DeBoer, and then the interim coach and all that. It was a complete nightmare, and that's not the Atlanta United we're used to seeing and we're probably going to get this year. However, the fact that they got in based off the 2019 U.S. Open Cup, well, guess what? That's 2 bids for 1 championship. That's not right. They got in last tournament, which they ended up bowing out to Club America, easily in that. I mean, let's be honest, when they actually went down to Azteca, they got killed, which is expected. So they're just going to get into this tournament to get killed again. I mean, that's it's frustrating to see. I guess the league had no other choice to do that in some type of fair way or however they want to call it. But overall, it's not what you want to see. Atlanta does not deserve to be in this tournament. As far as Columbus, Philadelphia, and Portland, Philadelphia makes me a little bit nervous just because of all the changes that they've had this offseason, right? You lose McKenzie, you lose Aronson, your 2 best players on your team now gone. Who do they replace those guys with? And can that team really fight with a Mexican team?
Right.
Probably not. I don't think they can. The Crew, yes, absolutely. I think the Crew could cause some problems for a Mexican team. Same with probably the Timbers. If they get a little bit more help up front, I think they just need a little bit more of a solidifying help up front, and then they should be good. But the other 2 teams, not so much. And honestly, if you want to include TFC, as the 5th MLS team, so to say, if they do get through Forge, I don't see them doing anything in Champions League. They're just not there. I mean, this team, they've got Josie. I'm sure he'll be hurt if he's still with the team, because remember, he was going to leave and now he's not. So he'll probably be hurt, or he'll just, pull his hamstring in training before the game.
Either that, or he comes in as like a 78th minute sub and scores 2 goals to advance, right? That's what he'll do in a game like that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't expect anything. Honestly, this core, I think it's going to be another year of Mexican champions out of the CONCACAF Champions League, just from an early look, without really diving deep into the bracket and whatnot. That's the way it looked to me.
Right. We've got almost 2 months before things kick off here. A lot can change, though. I haven't heard much of Portland in the transfer window, like not doing much of anything, or Philadelphia even trying to bolster up their roster. So it'll be interesting to see how those teams adapt to this new style, especially the Union. They have never been in Champions League. This is their debut Champions League appearance. And as we have seen from MLS teams in years past, it's a lot to adjust to. The different stadiums, climates, altitudes, hotels and accommodations, travel, like all that stuff is completely different for any of these MLS teams. We saw it with TFC. Like, well, we didn't know, do we bring our nutritionist? Do we have our own cook? Do we rely on stuff down there? Like, there's so many logistical challenges that hopefully the Union are in really close contact with all these other clubs who've made prior appearances and are getting the best advice they possibly can, because it is going to be an adjustment for them. Mike, any advice for the Union? I mean, for me, it's spend as little time in your foreign country as possible. Get down there, have a couple days of training, and get out. That's what I say to do. Yeah,
I mean, that's got to be the way to do it. I mean, just show up, play the game, and with these new COVID rules and all that, that's probably what'll end up being. They'll probably literally just head there and do the same day travel, or maybe the day before, leave the day after kind of thing. They're not going to be hanging out down there. So that's, I mean, has CONCACAF announced anything yet for the formation of the term? Is it just going to be the normal way? The teams are, Philadelphia is going to have to, travel, down to Saprissa, and then Saprissa is going to come up here.
Yeah, that's what it looks like from what I have seen on the CONCACAF website, that it's not going to be hosted in a neutral site in Orlando or anything like that. They're going to do the home and home legs and travel to each team's stadium. So that is going to be, again, a logistical challenge. Normally, add in a layer of COVID protocols, travel, international travel. I mean, who knows if there's going to be any exceptions or quarantines that, like, these teams have to go through, like at airports or when they get back. Like, who knows what's going to happen, or if they all get vaccinated and then we're all good, right? Who knows? Who knows?
There you go.
Hey, real quick, want to recognize a newcomer on the chat here, Dan Geringer, watching from L.A., Los Angeles, California. He guesses LAFC is his team. So, nice. Dan, thanks for jumping on, man. Hopefully you're enjoying our content and enjoying all the moves these MLS clubs are making in the offseason. So now let's get into the bracket. We'll do a quick bracket reveal here for the CONCACAF Champions League. Now, the top half of the bracket regarded as the more difficult half of the bracket because you have 3 Liga MX clubs here. The first matchup, Cruz Azul versus the Haitian club Arcahaie. Then the next matchup is your Canadian team, Forge or Toronto versus Leon. Monterrey versus Atletico Pandoja. Columbus Crew versus Real Esteli of Nicaragua. So, Mike, just looking at that, I've got to think Monterrey wins that fairly easily. Maybe Leon gives them a little bit of a run, unless the Crew can surprise. The Crew would be my dark horse team to compete with Monterrey and Leon. So that's kind of my initial impression.
Yeah, I mean, look at that top, like that top half there. For me, it's fairly easy. It's going to be Monterrey and Columbus. Then probably Leon against Cruz Azul. So you're going to have 3 Mexican sides on that one half of the bracket. And I don't see. I mean, Columbus, if they can get through a Monterrey, can they get through a Leon or a Cruz Azul as well? That's going to be kind of hard. So if any team has a chance on this side of the bracket, MLS-wise, it is Columbus, because I can't see Toronto going through Leon, Cruz Azul, and Monterrey just to get to the final. Not going to happen, not in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think last season, last CONCACAF Champions League, LAFC was the first club to beat 3 Liga MX teams, and then they still had to face a 4th one in the final,
right?
And which they lost in dramatic fashion. So it's never been done. Let's just put it that way. And I don't know if the Crew are in a position to do it in 2021. So in the bottom half of the bracket, we have the Union from Philadelphia taking on Saprissa of Costa Rica. Saprissa is, as Jim Curtin, the Union coach, put it, they're the Bayern Munich and the Man United of Costa Rica. I don't know. Are those words that you want to hear if you're a Union fan or a Union player, losing your 2 biggest guys to overseas transfers, and now your coach comes in and is like, that's the best team in Central America, in Costa Rica, and we got to play him in the first round in our first ever CCL appearance. How do you feel about this matchup, Mike, even though we are a little ways out?
I think Saprissa could cause trouble for Philly, especially because Philly, if Philly has the same team they ended the season with last year, I expect them to be able to beat Saprissa. Saprissa, yeah, they're in Costa Rica, they're one of the bigger teams, but they're still not they're not on par with an MLS team. They're still probably, I would say, a little below. So I think it'll be a good matchup just because Philly's as depleted as they are right now. But I mean, we could see, we could see an upset here by Saprissa over Philly.
Sure, and we all know how good Costa Rica is in CONCACAF from a national team level. They are typically the second or third team right there with USA, Mexico, and a lot of Costa Rican players have come up through Saprissa or are still playing Saprissa. So definitely that's a great matchup. And if the Union really want to test themselves and think that they've taken the next step in their club's development, this is an excellent matchup for them in the first round. Atlanta United faces Alajuelense, the second club qualifying out of Costa Rica. No stranger to Champions League. Alajuelense has been there a couple times before, at least. Atlanta United also has been there. So we will see if they can continue to surprise in this tournament. I don't know what to expect out of this game from an Atlanta United team who's completely rebuilding their roster and an Alajuelense team who I really don't know much about. I just know that I like saying Alajuelense, and I'm going to keep doing it as often as I can. So that's the next matchup in the bottom half of the bracket. Third game, Club America of Liga MX takes on Olimpia of Honduras. Olimpia, the top Honduran club. They are in this competition just about every year. and they are not going to be scared of Club America. But Mike, you're the new Club America fan. These are your guys, your Tigers of Mexico here. Do you think Olympia has a shot against Club America?
No, not at all. I mean, Club America is not playing very well right now at all. But Olympia, no, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah, and sorry, I mistakenly called them Tigres. You're the new Tigres fan, not the Club America.
Yeah, I can't stand Club America, but I'm starting to kind of push for kind of pushing for Tigres in League MX.
Okay, I guess I was surprised that they did not qualify for this tournament. That's where my head was thinking about that. So with the way the Mexican qualifying worked, where did Tigres fall? Were they outside of the top 4 in the last season?
No, so it was it's your finalists in the Liguilla, the playoffs. So Tigres didn't make the final of the Liguilla in either the Apertura or Clausura, so they didn't get in. So, you know what? It happens. That I think they were focused on, for the main thing was for them is that Club World Cup, and they were in the Champions League this time, and we all saw what happened. And that was a fantastic live stream reaction that we did with Bayern and Tigres. Tigres so close.
It was a good game, that's for sure. And then the final matchup in the bottom half of the bracket, Portland Timbers taking on Marathon, another Honduran team, I believe. Again, Marathon, probably the next best club coming out of Honduras. So a team that when you have to qualify through the Caribbean qualification process, it's not like they're coming in cold. Like they've probably played 3 or 4 qualifying games to get to this point. So they're going to be in good shape. They're going to be a confident team, and hopefully the Timbers can overcome that. Rocky does it all. Our guy from Portland, Rocky, picking up my slack here, not knowing too much what the Timbers have done in the offseason. He says that they have signed 3 Liga MX players, have a slot for a possible 4th, 2 defenders, Van Rankin and Claudio Bravo. So shoring up the back, and hopefully Blanco is back from his ACL injury and can pick up the offense a little bit for them. So, Mike, just a quick look. You got to figure Club America is the team to beat in the bottom half of this bracket, with maybe Portland or Saprissa, Philly. I feel like there's no clear-cut second team here, right? It's America and then everybody else. Would you agree?
I would say, yeah. With only one Mexican side in that half of the bracket, they got a really, really nice draw from that perspective. I mean, if a U.S. team could, an MLS team could do something, my best guess would be Portland, possibly Philly, because I could see them, if they did squeak by Saprissa, then getting past Atlanta or Alajuelense. I can't even say that.
My guy.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that maybe that's the best shot there. But overall, I expect to see America just brush through that half of the bracket.
Beautiful. It's funny to say, or funny to see, looking at the top half of the bracket, we're thinking the 3 Liga MX teams advance with Columbus. And in the bottom half of the bracket, we've got the 3 MLS teams advancing with Club America. So it's like a mirror image here, and if we could somehow upset Club America, if Portland could do it early on, then that would guarantee essentially a U.S. club in the CONCACAF Champions League final. Maybe this is how we want the draws to go. If we want to win the bracket, rather than have guys in the top half and the bottom half, just pray that we all get stacked in one half of the bracket, that we were guaranteed one club to get through. I don't know if that's a good strategy. When it comes to sports, I usually don't rely on prayer, just because I don't think God cares about sports. At least he doesn't care about Chicago sports. That's a little outside of the topic here, but this might be a great shot for an American club to win it if they could only defeat Club America, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, looks like a good. I feel like it's always exciting to watch CCL, and I can't wait for it. We'll be doing live stream reactions for that, and just really tearing it up with CCL. I mean, CONCACAF and MLS, and I know we got Lucia on here. Was earlier stopped by and said, "Can y'all do
Lucia?
some Liga MX. Here it is. There it is. And Lucia will definitely, depending on where we can, what games we can pick up with the TV packages we've got here, we'll see. But overall, it's going to be fun for CCL. So now let's transition a little bit over to some transfer rumors and notes. But before we do that, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. Turn on those notifications as well so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content, whether it's live stream reactions, picks and predictions, podcast episodes, Q&As, you name it. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications there. Also, Super Chats. Best way to get your chat recognized and get a personalized shout out is to donate through Super Chat. We had, I believe, 6 of them last stream between Grace and Bayern Munich. And thank you to you guys for that. And you know what? I've got a good idea here. Depending on TV scheduling and whatnot, I'm thinking a $10 Super Chat buys you a live stream reaction of whatever game you want. So just a thought out there, listeners, viewers. Yeah, exactly. So if there's a game you want, let me know. Let us know in the chat. I'll look it up in the see if we've got the TV channel. If we do, $10, we do it. So there you go. Anyways, the rumors and the transfer rumors and all that kind of stuff. First one up is Bonyak Garcia re-signs with the Houston Dynamo. Bonyak Garcia is like he's like Mr. Houston Dynamo. He's been there for so long. A big signing, 36 years old now. Came in 2012. So what is that? 8? This is going to be his 9th season now. Yep. So really a national team member of Honduras. Just a big time signing, re-signing for Houston there with Bonyak Garcia. What thoughts do you have on that, Nick?
So, Mike, it'll be. I pulled up his player profile here, and it'll actually be his 10th season in the MLS, all with the Houston Dynamo. This guy is a stalwart player. His first season, he only made 17 appearances, and then last year only 18 appearances, 7 of which were starts. So he has been a starter for Houston for most of the last decade. Just a guy who can eat up minutes for this club. Now, you're right. He's 36 years old. This guy was born a month before I was, almost a month to the day. So Bonyak Garcia is a month older than me, and he just re-signed for an 11th season with the Houston Dynamo. So my initial thoughts, Mike, are depression, and I'm a lard ass, and I need to get my butt moving and do something physical with my life here. But as far as the club, this is a great signing that they're able to bring him back. Houston, they've rebranded. They're trying to kind of shake up a little bit of the roster. They got Todd Ramos in his 2nd year. So this is a guy who's going to lend them a lot of stability and a lot of credibility in the locker room. So it's great to see that they're able to bring Bonyak Garcia back, Mike. Those are my thoughts on it, personal and professional.
There you go. So moving right along, Gerso Fernandez apparently sends out an Instagram message saying goodbye to Sporting Kansas City. He is out, apparently moving to a club in South Korea. That club is Jeju United FC, which apparently won the Korean League 2nd division and got promoted up to the first division. So apparently Gerso had a contract offer from Sporting Kansas City and turned it down. So 29 years old, I think he's thinking, you know what? I did what I can in MLS. Time to go see something else. And I'm assuming the money's probably better over in South Korea just because of the salary cap structure and that kind of stuff here with MLS. So 18 goals and 107 regular season appearances over 4 seasons for Gerso Fernandez. A solid player for Sporting Kansas City. So definitely a loss for them. I mean, he wasn't their star player, but a good piece of the puzzle there for SKC. Now moving on.
I was kind of shocked to see it because I liked watching Gerso play. They called him the Jer Show, right? He was always capable of creating a highlight level play. And he's fast for 29 years old. He was still one of the fastest guys anytime he took the pitch. And so I think it'll be a loss for Kansas City in that respect, that they're losing a proven player who has worked with Vermees and the core of this team. But on the flip side of it, Kansas City signed a bunch of guys last year. So they're definitely not going to miss the money. And Mike, that's my thought as well as yours, that he probably is making more money going to the South Korean team because Kansas City just couldn't offer him the money that he wanted or thought he deserved, and probably rightly so deserved with Kansas City because of all their signings that they've had to make and kind of restructure the roster. So I wish him well. I may have to tune into a South Korea game. Maybe I'll give you $10, Mike, to go do Jerso's first South Korea game at like 3 a.m. At some point here. But hey, yeah, good for Jeju United getting promoted, flashing a little of that new promotion cash around, and grabbing a proven MLS player and a guy who could probably bag a few goals for them over in South Korea. So it'll be nice to keep track on him. What's interesting is the MLS article notes that Kansas City retains his MLS rights. So if he ever does want to come back and say retire back home here, he's going to have to go through Kansas City, at least from a contract standpoint first. So that's what I got to say about Jerso, Mike. If you don't have anything else, you got some TFC notes here that there's this rumor that keeps popping up north of the border here. Why don't you let us know about that?
Yeah, so Rafael Bora keeps popping up in the rumor mills and all that, the news everywhere. Apparently, it's getting pretty serious. It's down between either Palmeiras or TFC for the River Plate striker. Apparently, he's 25 years old, plays for the Colombian national team. Don't think he's really a starter, but he's had a couple caps with them, and real big time up and coming prospect. Apparently went over to Atletico Madrid and then went back over to Argentina. After that didn't really work out with Atletico Madrid. Strong player. So I'm thinking this is something where it's literally being held back because he's going to sign for a free in June. That's my guess, because his transfer market value is around 15 or 16 million. So he's one of those types of players where, again, he's still going to be a DP spot. It's about a $4 million salary is what's going to take to keep him, to get him. But apparently all the South American outlets are really bringing it back up here. And as Jay Jardim says, thank you for the stats there, Jay, 43 goals in 118 games with River Plate.
That's impressive.
It is very impressive. This guy would be a huge get for TFC. And I think with Pozuelo linking up with him and possibly Josie for like the 3 or 4 games he'll play, we'll see. As National Team Mexico says, Bora, no, don't waste the money. All right, so we've got, two sides of the coin here. But overall, I think what we're going to see is come June, when his contract is up, that's when he'll actually come to TFC in the summer. That's my guess. I think that's why it's been taking so long for TFC. They haven't been making any signings, so that's my guess there. But I think it would be a hell of a signing.
Yeah, we've seen an influx of South American talent come into the MLS. In fact, there was a recent article too saying why we're going to see more South American talent, especially Argentinian talent, coming into the MLS. And just quick sidebar here, they're saying like a lot of the giant clubs over in Europe aren't taking flyers on these 19 to 22, 23-year-old players. They'd rather get a guy they can bring in a more proven player if they need an immediate impact or if they are trying to develop a younger prospect, right? So you're going to see these Argentinian guys go to the MLS on a 2-year deal, or maybe it's a 4-year deal with some great sell-on incentives, and then they'll switch them over to a major European club. Prove yourself in MLS as an all-star for a couple seasons, and then your MLS club will sell you on, because right now MLS clubs can't resist those transfer fees. That's for sure. So that might be something to keep an eye on for Bora, as well as a lot of other South American talent. Mike, the next player that you note here, Anielle Fisher to the Galaxy. Now, this I haven't had a chance to go over all these notes here. What do you know about this guy?
Yeah, so he is a free agent signing to the Galaxy. So he's been around for a while, Jamaican international right back. 66 appearances with the Sounders and DC United since 2015. So solid MLS veteran, so to say. And apparently, I mean, that's one of the first signings for Greg Vanney out in LA. So again, they don't name Vanney in any of this. It's always just the GM Teclosa. But it's apparently saying that Fisher's going to kind of be one of those backup guys to kind of back up Julian Araujo. And that's a good depth signing. I mean, that's depending on what the salary number looks like. To me, the Galaxy have needed help in defense big time. So to have some more depth there along the D line is a good thing for the Galaxy. So strong one for the Galaxy, I think.
Absolutely. And it's saying he had some pretty bad injuries in 2019 that kept him off the pitch then. And then, last season did what he could. And you're right. It's probably going to be that depth piece, but it's totally a Vanney signing, a depth defender, totally a Vanney signing, right? He knows how important depth is going to be if they're going to compete out west. The other thing that is appealing to me is this guy's been capped for the Jamaican national team. So he knows how to play at the highest level for his country and is going to bring that same kind of drive and determination, especially from a DC United team who's been striving to get back to the glory days. He's going to bring some much needed positive attitude and work ethic to a Vanney Galaxy club that's trying to rebuild their identity. So I think it's an excellent signing, if not from an on the field talent perspective, then from all the intangibles that Fisher can bring.
There you go. So last one we've got here is Eric Remedy to San Jose from Atlanta United for $200K in GAM. A good deal or no? What do you think?
$200,000 is no small chunk of change here, Mike, and you're getting a proven MLS defender. And there were even rumors that Remedy was being courted by some South American clubs as well, Independiente and San Lorenzo in Argentina, a couple of very respectable clubs in Argentina. So the fact that the Quakes were able to kind of get him from Atlanta is an excellent signing. The Quakes, we know, need to fix their defense, right. But also for $200,000 in GAM, that's no small chunk of change there, Mike. Like, that's the kind of money that you can buy a guy down from the DP level just enough, or you can use that to sign a couple of younger players, even a super draft pick. And they even said the deal could get up to $300,000 in GAM based on performance incentives. So San Jose is very high on Remedy, as I think they should be. I know Atlanta really struggled last season, and Remedy being a part of that might not, have the best taste in their mouth for Quakes fans. Right. But work him into Almeida's system, and his motor and his work ethic, plus the experience, right? Like, if they're going to have these young players from San Jose start coming up, and they're going to start signing guys, hopefully San Jose is going to start bringing in more players. You need a guy like Remedy to hold it down, for those dog days of MLS summer. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. And again, everyone, we're speculating here right. How it's going to play out in these crazy MLS seasons, COVID or not. Just kind of what we know the trends in the league to be. Like, we're not like statistical experts on everything Eric Remedy here, but this is just kind of what I think based on past performances and trends and things like that in the league. So that's my take on it, Mike. What are your thoughts on Remedy to the Quakes?
Yeah, he's a good piece. When I try and calculate out what 200K in GAM is probably like 500-600K in TAM. So to me, that's a fair number for him. He's not going to light the league on fire. It's not his position. He's a solid player, and I think it's a fair amount for him. And I think San Jose, it's a good signing, good pickup for them. Now, let's talk about one more here. Brother BKL says, let's talk about NYCFC and the Denmark player. That Denmark player is Malte Amundsen from Danish club Vejle BK. Now, I know nothing about the Danish league. I know nothing about this player. However, he is a TAM signing, 23-year-old defender. who kind of caught the eye playing in like a preseason game down in Florida. And I guess they played New York City or something in a game, and that's kind of where they first got their eyes on this young kid. And really, it seems like a good left back. So, I mean, replacing Ronald Matarrita, as well as I believe, they lost another wing back as well. And so a good pickup. Definitely, anytime you can spend TAM on the defensive line. I think we're not at the DP place yet we've seen some mistakes spending DP money on the back line. So TAM, I think, is a good place for that. And those are my thoughts on that. Cameron Young says, that's the Danish League, some of the best prospects. And also Tio Luis, how you doing? Thanks for jumping on, Tio. Appreciate you coming out. So Nick, give me your thoughts on that signing, and then let's take everybody into the big news.
Yeah. So again, Mike, I really don't know too much about it. So I can only echo kind of what you have said already. In the meantime, I did a quick search here for Eric Remedi on Transfer Market, and they show his value at €2.5 million here. I think is that a euro? I'm not sure, whatever it is. 2.5 million something. But so that shows you his value, and to get him for potentially $300,000 in GAM seems to be about on par with that, trading that kind of value over to another club. So Remedi, excellent prospect, good signing for the Quakes. So big announcement for the show. Hard transition right there, right out of the transfer talk, right into these show announcements. And it's hard for me to say it because it surrounds my future with the show. And I am announcing that I am walking away from the Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast. So tonight is my last episode on SOP, and I didn't think I'd feel like my heart racing, and I don't think I've drank enough bourbon for it to be that. But that just kind of shows you how important and how great this experience has been. It was no easy decision to walk away from such a wonderful program and such a wonderful community. But the show is going in a new direction, and it's just a direction I could not follow in. And so I'm stepping down. I'm walking away. And really, Mike is going to continue to run Sons of a Pitch, and he is going to continue to put out all that awesome soccer content. So you all make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you have all subscribed and continue to support the show and Mike and especially to each other, because that's the one thing that I have learned over the last 3 years. You hear people talk about it, the soccer community in the United States and around the world, especially the podcasting and the YouTubing and the fan communities. I got to experience it firsthand, and it's 100% accurate, that tight-knit bond. And then just reading all your comments here in the stream, it just completely reinforces that belief that everyone who's a fan of the game, a true fan of the game, can come together for it. And everything else aside, politics, drama, family, everything else can be put aside, and we can all sit down for a little bit every week and just enjoy the game of soccer. And to me, that's one of the most beautiful things about what we've done over the last 3 years. For those of you who hadn't gone back that far with us, we were podcasting in Mike's camper, like staying up till midnight, 1 a.m, editing episodes, figuring out the software, and now look at how far we've come in 3 short years. And that's in no small part to the Herculean efforts by my friend and co-host here, Mike. So to give my final thanks then, first and foremost to you, Mike. I never would have imagined like talking over a cubicle wall about soccer it would turn into this.
Yeah.
It was so cool. For those of you who don't know the story, Mike and I were co-workers, and I walked by his cubicle one day, and there's a TFC scarf hanging on the wall in his cubicle. I'm like, should I say something? If I say that I'm a soccer fan, is this going to sound weird? Do people think is this weird? But thank God we started it, and really our boss was kind of like, can you guys stop talking about soccer and get back to work? So we took it off the floor and into the podcast, and now into YouTube and everywhere else. So, Mike, just 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, thank you. This is I couldn't have done this with anyone else. So thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. Thank you, man.
And thank you to your family, going over to your house, to your camper, like hanging out in your backyard, in your basement, doing these shows, seeing your wife and the kids. Like it was a family affair for all of us. So thanks to them as well, to your dogs, to your chickens, to your ducks, to every animal that I came across when I went to the farm Guglielmi to do it. But speaking of family, of course, thank you to my wife, Nikki, to my beautiful kids, to let me have the time to do this, to have this fun, to have this hobby, to have this joy. Thank you to my family. Also, big thanks to John Donovan. He was our first sponsor almost like within a month or so after starting the show. I think he jumped in and said, I love soccer. I love what you guys are doing. I want to support you. So, John, thanks to you for your support. All of what you see here, you helped us start. And Donovan Food Brokerage, Nice Premium Iceland Spring Water, all your companies that backed us and supported us, thank you. To the other shows, Extra Time, Cooligans, Total Soccer Show, the Hipster Footy Podcast, all the MLS local shows. Like we drew inspiration. I drew inspiration from all of you in what we put into our show. And thank you most of all to our listeners and our viewers, to everyone on the chat here, and everyone who listens and downloads the show. You know, it's funny, every now and then we say like, you know, oh, thanks to our fans. Like, it's crazy to think of any of you here as fans, because we're just, again, you're talking soccer. We're hanging out. We're part of this community. I never really considered anyone here like a fan of mine or a fan of the show. Like, it's crazy to think. And I know, Mike, you and I talk about this all the time off air and off recording. Like, there's people in the United Kingdom. There's people in Saudi Arabia. There's people in Vietnam. And there's people all over the United States that have sent us messages and we've communicated with all about soccer. It's unreal to think about. And to me, that's just got to be one of the most special things. So with that, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your own personal lives to listen to me talk about something I love. Like, I will never forget that feeling, and I'm truly humbled by all of that. So thank you 1,000,000 times over. If anyone does want to reach out and keep in touch, my email is Nicholas, NICHOLAS .Poteres, POTERES @gmail.com. I'm happy to continue to keep in touch with y'all and keep talking soccer and you know, and just keep it going a little bit. But Mike's going to be taking over. I know he's going to continue to uphold the standards that we've set up here at Sons of a Pitch. He's going to be running the whole show, the whole shebang, the social media, the website, everything. So, Mike, again, to you, I give my first and my last thanks, and I wish you the absolute best with continuing Sons of a Pitch. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, and thank you, man. I mean, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that conversation at the office building over the cubicle, and we wouldn't be where we are today and be able to continue what we're going to continue here with Sons of a Pitch. So thank you, Nick. Really appreciate, and again, the hospitality of your family when recording at your place and whatnot. Definitely looking forward to the future here, and definitely going to miss you, man. Really, really going to miss you. And, it's going to be different, but the days are bright still. So definitely excited to, we're going to kind of keep things with the kind of status quo for a little bit. Nothing's going to change immediately. We're just going to kind of decide where to go and how to do different things going forward. So don't, we're going to keep the podcast going. I know how to do all that, and we'll kind of work with that as it goes. So overall, Nick, really appreciate you, man. And it's been fun, and we'll definitely, you got to stop by and say hi every once in a while, and not, we got to make sure to stay tight.
Absolutely. You're going to start seeing my actual Twitter account pop up on your feed now, not just be shooting messages from SOP.
There you go. So with that, I'll, all the comments, guys, really appreciate all the comments and everybody there. And so Nick, we'll miss you. And thanks again for everything. And we'll let you close it out.
Well, everyone, what can we say? It's been a great show, from CONCACAF to transfers to some breaking news and my departure from the show. And again, thank you all. But please, we're going to keep this going. And by we, I mean the community of Sons of a Pitch, right? Mike's going to be at the helm, but it's going to be just a community effort again, because that's the best part of this. So stay involved. Subscribe here on YouTube. At Sons of a Pitch Soccer, on Facebook at Sons of a Pitch Soccer. You can find us on Twitter at SOPSoccer, as well as on our website, sonsofapitchsoccer.com. Go figure. And we are also on Patreon. We are also on the Cash app. Get your referral code and make a few free bucks. FRQWGRS is the referral code at Sons of a Pitch. And stay in touch. Enjoy all the soccer, international, national, local. Enjoy it all. Keep the conversation going, because that was what we set out to do. And I think we are doing that, is to continue to grow the sport through conversation. So for one final time, it's been a blast. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.